we're going to do, we are going to go around the horn for a Thursday afternoon. So first of all, great news. The Big Ten is back. Awesome news. They've been pushing this and punting it down the field for as long as I believe August 11th. So it's been a long process, but we are finally back. Yesterday there was a unanimous 14-0 vote, which after new medical information, I don't know if there was actually new medical information, but they're going to say there is. I think it was one of those perceptions is reality type takes where, back in August, they perceived, hey, people want to shut this down for health reasons. They got a lot of backlash and they're like, how can we put this dumpster fire out? And they finally, hopefully made the right decision by getting back on the field. So great news. Big Ten is back. Ohio State football is back. And that is scheduled to kick off October 24th. With teams playing I believe it's going to be an 8-game schedule plus championship weekend. So what it looks like is, again, like I said, October 24th kickoff, Big Ten championship game December 19th. Then from what I understand, there will be, so obviously the top two teams from the East and the West in the Big Ten will match up, but then the second team in the East will play the second team in the West. The third team in the East will play the third team in the West. I believe they're still working out logistics on where that'll take place, Indianapolis or home sites for the higher ranked team or whatever it might be. So, but either way, we got football back, and that's phenomenal. NBA tonight, we got Miami and Boston game 2. Jimmy Butler, and Bam and company, they just took over against the Celtics in a really hot contested game on Tuesday night. They won that game in overtime. Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart are doing their thing over there with the Celtics. Jaylen Brown's playing great. The Celtics are just a really, really good team. But Miami seems to be a team on a mission to get to the NBA Finals. Miami's up 1-0, looking to go up 2-0, and the Celtics looking to tie it at 1. The Western Conference Finals are starting tonight as well. The Lakers and the Nuggets play game 1. The Clippers, just who everyone was on the Clippers bandwagon, they just up 3-1, choked away the series pretty much, and just a bad look for them. So we'll see what that means going forward for the Clippers. The U.S. Open teed off this morning at Winged Foot in New York. So a lot of experts are predicting to see players like possibly the winning score could be over par. So we'll see how that plays out over the weekend. You got your usual favorites up there, Dustin Johnson and others, but we're going to talk more about that later. Going to baseball, the Indians are in an absolute free fall right now. They've lost 8 in a row, and it's just, they are still in the playoffs. They're still the 8th seed in the playoffs, but they're really blowing a good opportunity to get in there, especially with their pitching. But they're hitting, and they just cannot put all the pieces together. On nights they hit, they can't pitch, and vice versa. So, but ESPN projects them still at a 98.7% chance to make the playoffs. So we will see what happens there. Those are our basic Thursday afternoon headlines. We're going to throw it over to our sponsor, Coca's Pizza, who has 9 locations you can check out before, during, or even after the game.
Attention all football fans. If you can't see your team play, come and dine with us and watch it live at Boardman, Canfield, or Cortland. Or staying at home, we'll deliver right to your door. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
All right. So thanks to Steve Coca and all the Coca's locations. Last night, I did a Zoom call with several buddies that we talk sports. We picked NFL games. So I'm going to introduce them ahead of time. Dave Hodge, Greg Kirchner, they both live in Columbus, and Edgar Moscow. We call him Easy E, just affectionately. and he's from Youngstown as well. But we all graduated from Boardman. Dave and Greg are Buckeyes. Edgar graduated from Youngstown State, but we all have ties to the area. So we did a Zoom call last night, and we talked about lots of different things. We talked about obviously the Big Ten being back. We talked about baseball. We talked a lot about football, a little bit of golf, and some NBA. So I'm going to throw it over to our Zoom conference from last night. So check this out. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Facebook comment section. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm going to introduce you to a few buddies of mine. We got two guys coming in from Columbus tonight and a buddy of mine in Youngstown. So I'm going to introduce to you first, once I can get him on the video. Here comes Dave Hodge. Dave is from Columbus. We affectionately call Dave sometimes Diesel. I'm going to bring in Greg Kirchner. Greg is also in Columbus. Sometimes, at least back in the day, we used to call Greg Special K. And we're going to bring in another one of our Youngstown boys here, Easy E, Edgar Moscow. So thank you guys for coming on. Hopefully we can do this like as a weekly segment, or every few weeks. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go over some topics and some NFL lines, and at the end we're going to do a little segment with Dave called okay, or no way. So we'll explain what that means in a little bit. So first of all, we got big news today. The Big Ten is back. So obviously Edgar is kind of on his lone island over there. Edgar does root for Edgar is a big Notre Dame fan, but he has been known to root for Ohio State in the past. But Dave, Greg, and I all were Buckeyes. So pretty awesome news, especially even for you, Edgar. Just college football in general, that's great for Buckeyes coming back. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's, I guess, that we don't have a lot of info right now. It's October 24th is the start, and then it's 8 games. So you'll play everybody in your division plus one outside. So 8-game season. I think there's going to be a Big Ten championship, and then be potentially part of the college football playoff. So, as a Buckeye fan, and it was weird here just being in Columbus last week on a Saturday with, there's games on, but they weren't all that appealing, and just being around town and, feeling like there's really something missing in the fall was tough, and it kind of hit home. So this is great, and it'll be fun. And obviously we have a fantastic team, so it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no doubt.
I definitely think it was going to be one of those things where, when it was Saturday, like I almost didn't even remember that there was games on until, you guys were texting and stuff about like Notre Dame and stuff. It was so easy to forget, but I think it would have been, if they didn't play at all, it was going to be very detrimental. You saw the stuff with Fields. I think I was just worried about recruiting and all that stuff. So, but glad to have it back, even if it's short. So
exactly. Yeah, we'll take what we can get right now.
And watching Notre Dame last Saturday, it was weird not having any fans in the stadium, just watching, and it just kind of hit home. Like, this is our reality right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's insane. But I did get some I did hear some good news. Apparently Wyatt Davis, who declared or opted out or whatever, he says he's coming back. And there's reports that Sean Wade now, who is arguably the best defender for Ohio State, is possibly coming back now too. So awesome news. And I think like we all said, we'll take what we can get and go from there. So with that said, go ahead. Sorry.
Especially with OSU, because you just, all that talent, that we had coming from last year, you want to see that on the field display. So
absolutely,
we can do.
Absolutely. And I did see a couple other things. They said that if a team, any of the teams in the Big Ten, go to 5% of their actual roster, they'll have to shut down football operations or 7.5% of their operations and football staff plus their players. That's some sort of national trend line that they're trying to keep it under. And if a player tests positive, they'll get retested again to make sure it wasn't a false positive. But if they test positive and then test positive again, they have to quarantine and be away from the team for 21 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which I think the national, like the CDC recommends like 10 days, something like that. But one other thing, I literally just got a text, and it says on the Big Ten Championship, which I think is December 19th, what they're going to do is they're going to take, obviously the top two teams from the East and West will play each other, but then they're going to have the number 2 team from each side play each other, the number 3 team, number 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 all the way down play each other that week. I don't know the logistics of that, but that seems pretty cool to get an extra game in too.
Yeah, so everybody gets 9 games.
Yeah. So might as well, you take what you get. All right. So with that said, let's move on to that's obviously great news. Let's go ahead on now to the NFL. We're going to get to the Browns and Bengals last, which that's obviously the Thursday night game of the week. We'll talk about some keys to victory and things before we make our picks. But what we're going to do, we're going to go through each of the other 15 games, and you guys can pick. Like I already made my picks, but you can. I'm going to tell you the line. I'm going to tell you the matchup. And if you guys have any, topics or anything you want to throw in there, go for it. Or if you just want to, pick the team, that's cool too. So we're going to start with the Los Angeles Rams at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Rams are -1. I'm going to take the Rams. Easy E, let's start with you. Who do you got?
I'm going to take the Eagles +1 just because the Rams are going across country.
All right. Okay. I like that.
So this might be like a just for discussion here, as I haven't really paid too much attention. Are they giving full 3 points now to the home team? Like, are they still doing that the same? Because it's kind of weird.
That's a good question. I think Vegas is trying to figure out the first couple of weeks, like who the shitty teams are, who the good teams are. Especially with no training camp, no preseason game, or with a very limited training camp, very limited interaction, especially with these, no fans in the stands. Like Kansas City had 17,000.
Yeah.
I think the Browns are allowing 6,000. But again, I don't know that. So I don't know what Vegas is it tends to
it's kind of interesting because you just see it like there's a lot of there. Like it seems like most of the lines this week are in that weird, like 4 to 6.5 range where it's kind of, it's hard to pick. It's hard to pick the team, the underdog in those games if you don't think they're going to win outright.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit, and it's all that line where Vegas kind of puts it when I feel like they don't really have a good beat on the game either. So they just kind of throw it in that little range and see what happens. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
But I will take the Rams in that game as well. I think I was impressed with them Sunday night. They have, we know they got a lot of weapons, and maybe it's the, gosh, I forgot it's the Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
You see them and you kind of get attached to the team a little bit. So I like the Rams.
Okay. All right.
It is weird though to make your comment. Like every line is like 4 or 6 points. It's like it's mostly like in the 6 range too. So maybe just not having the preseason to go off of, or I don't know what. But I'm gonna agree with E on this one. I'm going with the Eagles. So I think Carson Wentz, coming back, is gonna he's gonna do well. I do like the Rams a lot, but I don't know. Just sometimes go off. Just I don't trust them fully. So I'm gonna stick with the Eagles.
Okay. All right. So we got 2 on the Eagles and 2 on the Rams in that game. All right. New York Giants at the Chicago Bears. The Bears are 6.5-point favorites. We'll start with Edgar. We're going to start. We'll just go the same order. So we'll go E, Greg, Dave.
That's a tough one. I mean, both teams stink. I'm probably have to go with the Bears.
Okay. All right.
Don't they say when in doubt, take the points? So I'm going to go with the Giants. I mean, I don't have a real good reason. I just don't trust the Bears being sizable favorites against anybody right now.
I agree.
Did the Bears get 6 points, you said?
The Bears are getting 6.5.
6.5.
Gosh, Kavinsky,
But
yeah.
the
he had a great report.
I think I said the Bears are getting 6.5. They're actually favored by 6.
Yeah, they're favored by 6.5. Yeah. At home for what it's worth.
Yeah, I'll take the Bears in that one too. So.
Okay. All right. I'm taking the Giants on that one as well. All right. We got the Falcons at the Cowboys. Falcons coming off, pretty much getting hammered by Seattle, at least on the defensive side, and Dallas coming off a bad loss. I'm going to go with the Cowboys with a bounce-back game. So Cowboys are 5-point favorites. Edgar, what do you think?
Is it in Dallas?
Yep.
It is
It's in Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Cowboys in that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like the Cowboys this year. I think they arguably got a rough deal in that game last week, but they have a ton of weapons. CD Lamb, from the limited bit that we saw out of him, looks like he's going to be a star. I like the Cowboys big in this game.
Okay. All right. And Dave.
I'm going Cowboys. I agree. Lamb.
All right. We got clean sweep for the Cowboys. All right. Very good. All right. Next one. San Francisco they're at the Jets. So they're going cross country as well, but the 49ers are a 6.5-point favorite. I like the 49ers big in this game. I think they're coming off a bad loss. I think the Jets also are awful. So I'm just going 49ers big.
I'm going to agree with you too, Justin. I'm going to take the 49ers. I mean, hopefully George Kittle returns, but the Jets are without Le'Veon Bell now, and I think Frank Gore is going to be their number one back.
Gosh.
He's about 62 years old.
He'll probably, yeah. That's unbelievable. He's still playing.
I'm definitely going to take the 49ers with that one.
Okay. All right,
Yeah,
good.
I mean, I just don't see the Niners going 0-2, first of all, and then it's hard to then think that they won't win pretty sizably. So Justin, I think I've agreed with you on everyone, but I like the Niners too.
Okay.
At least 2 scores.
Okay.
It's definitely going Niners, and for what it's worth, if Le'Veon Bell was playing, it wouldn't matter anyways.
That's very true.
And like sometimes you hear about that Super Bowl hangover, the team that loses. But I think the 49ers that might be the toughest division of football though too that they're in.
It's very tough. Yeah.
Even the Cardinals, who are probably the 4th best team in that division, could finish 500 or better. All right, so clean sweep for the Cowboys, clean sweep for the 49ers. Next up, we got Carolina at Tampa. At Tampa Bay. First home start for Tom Brady. The Buccaneers are a 9-point favorite. So I'm going with the Buccaneers. I think they came off a kind of a rough start. That first drive for Tampa was nice, and then after that they kind of just they ran out of steam. So, but I'm gonna go with Tampa in a bounce back game here. What do you think, Easy E?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Panthers getting 9.
Oh, all right. Okay.
I think Tom Brady will have a decent bounce back game, but I think Christian McCaffrey will take over.
And they got Teddy Bridgewater too at quarterback now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not confident on this, but I'm with you, Edgar. I like the Panthers to keep it close. I just don't know if I think the Bucs will hit their stride at some point this year, but it's tough. I mean, that first drive was a huge tease because it was like, oh my gosh, they're Brady's just back and the guy's the greatest, and he is, but it's going to take him a little while. So I'm gonna say the Panthers keep it close. I think the Bucs win though.
It's also weird that Gronk only had 2 targets, and he's the pretty much most reliable source Brady has right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I completely agree with Greg on this one. I'm taking the Panthers, but I think Tampa.
Okay.
I think Tampa will win.
All right. Very good. Next one, we have in the NFC North, we got Detroit and we have Green Bay. I'm going to go – I think Green Bay really surprised a lot of people week 1, and I do think Green Bay is going to win that division. By the way, Green Bay is a 6-point favorite, but I'm going to go with the Lions on this one. I think they really lost a real tough one against the Bears. Literally, and I think it's DeAndre Swift dropped it in the end zone. And that's a tough first game for him. But I think the Lions got the weapons, and as long as Matt Stafford's healthy, I think they're going to be in a lot of games this year. So I'm going to go with the Lions. What do you think, Easy?
I'm going Go Pack Go. I think Aaron Rodgers is out to prove people wrong.
Okay. All right. Very good. Greg?
I think Aaron Rodgers has made a career out of making the Lions miserable, and I think it continues. I was very impressed. They were arguably one of the more impressive teams last week, and I think they roll. But I think the Lions have a decent shot at having a good year, but I think they're going to get smoked this week. I'll take the Packers.
Packers.
Taking the Packers too. Yeah, they'll be at least a touchdown. So.
All right. I'm not doing the NFL Network's lone wolf thing on this one, but it looks like I'm sitting with Detroit and you guys got all three. You guys got the Packers. All right, moving on. The Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. The Bills are a 5.5-point favorite. For some unknown reason to me, I picked the Jets to cover against the Bills week 1. I will never pick the Jets again, but to make up for it, I'm going to go with Buffalo in this game. So I'm going to take Buffalo in the points. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to take Buffalo also. I think they have a lot of weapons this year, and I think that they're the ones that could give New England a chance to get that division.
Okay.
Yeah, this one stings a little because I want to go with my heart here, but Buffalo is kind of the Rodney Dangerfield of the NFL. They don't seem to ever really get the respect, especially now. Josh Allen's a great quarterback. They have Stephon Diggs. One thing I've always noticed being kind of a Dolphins fan is that, especially early in the year, for whatever reason, teams, I guess not for whatever reason, but teams like to go down and play in Miami. It's not really, there's not a great home field advantage, no crowd. Like, who doesn't like to go down to Miami and hang out in that weather? So teams like to go down there, and they seem to play pretty well down there. I think the Bills win. Okay. Cover.
I'm also taking the Bills. I do think they don't get the respect. They have a solid D, and Allen's pretty good. So,
okay.
They're kind of a dark horse team, I think, in the AFC.
Yeah. So we got a clean sweep with the Bills. All right, next up, Denver at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh D looked good on Monday night, but they were also playing a really bad Giants team minus, Saquon and a few other players. But the Steelers are a 6.5-point favorite. I don't know why. I really don't have a good feel on this game, but I'm going to go Denver. Not just because I'm a Browns fan, but I'm going to go Denver because I think they're going to keep it close. Edgar, what do you think?
I don't know much about Denver, so I'm just going to go with my gut and take the Steelers.
Okay.
I don't know. They had Cortland Sutton, their number one receiver, was out last week.
Yeah.
I think Phillip Lindsay got dinged up in that game too. I don't know. So I don't know if they'll be with their full complement, but I think regardless, it pains me to say this, but I think the Steelers, I think, are pretty legit this year. The defense is fantastic. So I think it's going to be a Heinz Field beatdown that we are used to.
All right. Dave.
It's a tough one. Yeah, I almost want to go with you, Justin, but I have to pick the Steelers. The only way I think the Steelers falter really is if Roethlisberger just starts stinking it up, right? And I think the only question is really on their offense to keep it rolling. Their defense is going to have them in every game, and I just think it's more. I don't see Denver putting the points on them, so
okay. All right.
with the Steelers.
All right. And another thing, Von Miller's out for the season for Denver.
Yeah.
So that's a huge loss for them.
Yes.
Minnesota at Indy. I thought Indianapolis was next, maybe tied with the Browns for worst performance of week 1. Minnesota also had a little bit of a disappointing loss, but I'm going with the Vikings in this one. Indianapolis is a 3-point favorite, which kind of surprised me. But so I would probably take the Vikings in the money line in this game. But I'm going to go with the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Justin. I'm going to take the Vikings also. I think they have too many weapons.
All right.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You got two kind of desperate teams. I'm going to say the Colts. Don't really have a good reason for it, but I'm going to say the Colts win the game. Plus, Marlon Mack's out for the year, right? So it's kind of Jonathan Taylor show now, which actually might be a good thing. I think he's probably got more talent out of the two anyway. But
it's true. Yeah.
Go with the Colts.
Still weird to see Phillip Rivers throwing the ball for the Colts. But I'm going to agree with you, Justin. I'm going the Vikings here. So.
Well, Rivers did get a lot of practice throwing to his 37 kids out in the parking lot over COVID, so he got a lot more practice than everybody else. All right, let's do a few of these kind of rapid fire, just so we're staying on time here. So I'm just going to throw out the team or the game and the spread, and you tell me your pick. So we got Jacksonville at Tennessee. Tennessee is -9. I'm going to go Tennessee.
I'm going to take Jacksonville.
Okay.
Jacksonville.
Going Jacksonville's too.
All right. Next up, we got the Washington football team, which still is pretty crazy to say, at Arizona. I'm going Cardinals. Oh, by the way, Cardinals 6.5-point favorite. So Washington at Arizona. Arizona 6.5. I'm going Cardinals.
I'm going to go Washington.
Okay.
Interesting. I think the Cardinals are actually good. I think they're for real. Cardinals.
Cardinals.
All right. We got the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, who come off a big win. They are 8.5-point favorites, but they are at the LA Chargers. You guys might know better than me. Are they sharing that stadium out in LA?
Yeah.
They are. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so they're at the, in the new stadium out there. So Kansas City 8.5-point favorites at the Chargers. I'm going to go the Chiefs, though.
I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Yeah.
Okay, clean sweep of Kansas City. Baltimore, who beat down on our Browns at the Texans. Baltimore is 6.5-point favorites. I'm going Baltimore.
I'm going to go Baltimore also.
Houston keeps it close and covers. Baltimore wins the game, but I'll say Houston with the spread.
Dave?
Baltimore it is.
All right. Greg, the lone wolf on Houston in that game. I think this is a Sunday night game, and this is a good one. New England at Seattle. Seattle is a 4-point favorite. Personally, I think Russell Wilson's winning the MVP this year. He's just like, Seattle isn't necessarily top to bottom the best team in the league, but I think Russell Wilson just gets it done week in, week out, year in, year out. I'm going the Seahawks. Seahawks -4.
Yeah, I agree with you, Justin. Russell Wilson needs to win an MVP soon, so I'm going to take the Seahawks also.
Yeah, Seahawks. I think New England, as good as Cam looked, I mean, that was a little overblown, that, beating a very average Miami team. So I think Seattle wins.
Definitely Seahawks. Like the Seahawks this year. Yeah.
You do know Bill Belichick is advertising for Subway now. They might eat a $5 footlong before that game. All right, so we got Seattle in a clean sweep. And the final game, which I believe is the Monday night game, and we'll obviously get to the Browns-Bengals next, is New Orleans at Las Vegas. I think they're breaking in that new stadium there as well. And it's so weird to say Los Angeles, Chargers, Los Angeles Rams, and now the Las Vegas Raiders. So, but I really like the Saints a lot this year, but, Michael Thomas being out, I think, is a huge, huge loss for the Saints. So I'm going to say Vegas. I don't know if they're going to win, but I'm going to say they're going to cover. So I'm going to go Vegas.
What's the line?
It is 5.5.
I'm going to take the Saints.
Saints, okay.
This is my upset special. I think the Raiders win straight up.
Ooh, all right, good.
I like the Raiders this year. Josh Jacobs is awesome.
He
they
really goes.
that Darren Waller, that tight end, is a really good tight end, and I think Henry Ruggs had a decent game too, and I think he's going to be like kind of like a CD Lamb type. And I love Gruden, so I think they win.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Las Vegas in this one too. I agree. I think Ruggs and them are gonna pull it off in their home debut.
Interesting. All right, so that's kind of a surprise for me, but all right. So there's our NFL picks, but now let's get to the game that kind of means the most to us. We got the Bengals at the Browns. The Browns are a 6-point favorite in this game. I'm just going to give you guys my opinions, and please chime in. I'm just going to straight up say I'm taking the Browns for several reasons. One, I think they're a very desperate team right now. They got a new coach, and you can use all the excuses you want. New coach, new playbook. Baker's on his fourth head coach in less than 3 years. I was extremely disappointed with Beckham in week 1. The defense did not look great, but they had their moments. But I just think the Browns are too good of a team. They do have some holes in, the middle linebacker area and things like that. But I think the Browns win this game, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be somewhere like a 28-14 type game. So I'm gonna go Browns. What do you guys?
I'm gonna take the Browns also, just because I'm a Browns fan. But they need this game. This is, I don't want to say it early on, but I mean, go 0-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to run the ball. You got to run the ball better. Baker has to make good decisions, and I mean, you got to get the ball to your playmakers. No doubt about it.
No doubt.
Yeah, it almost seemed like in that last game, it was like he didn't throw to Landry or Beckham for the first 2 or 3 series. And then it almost like, I don't know, did somebody say something on the sidelines? Then it seemed like that same pattern last year too. It's like either not throw it to those guys or target them almost every time. They got to get Austin Hooper involved. I mean, the best player last week on offense was Njoku, and now he's out.
Yeah.
He was fantastic, and we paid big money for Hooper. I think it's going to be important to get him involved. And like Edgar said, you got to run the ball. You got 2 studs back there. We were in a great offensive line, and we were able to run it a little bit against the Ravens, but, didn't stick to it. And all of a sudden you get down, and then it goes haywire.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to pick the Browns to win. I think 6 points is really too much right now for the Browns to be favored against anybody by. And I just think I think Burrow's going to show up and play a good game. I think he's going to be hyped for this game. I think it's going to be a good game. I will say 24-21 Browns. So I think the Bengals will cover.
Okay.
Yeah, it is tough to take 6 points there, but I'm sticking with the Browns too. I mean, what's weird, like you said though, Beckham gets so much flack too, and I don't know what's going on, if it's like him or what, but I know at least I feel like every game there's at least 1 or 2 plays he's like wide open and he just doesn't even get looked at by Baker. So I don't know if it's, sometimes you have to wonder about Baker, but Chubb getting the ball like 10 times. I think that's what he got last time for 60. He needs to get the ball more. You need to get Hooper. Who thought that Njoku was going to be the player of the game? Like, you thought he'd be riding the pine the whole time almost with people they got. But you got to think the defense with all those new people just gelling finally, getting a real game experience. They're going to get together. I do think the Bengals. It's definitely a must win. The Bengals don't have to win. They're not expected to do anything. We've all these players. We're expected to do it. So if this was a loss, it's going to hurt bad. But Burrow looked like that last drive before they blew on the field goal. He had that moxie kind of going, and they got kind of hosed a little bit on that off pass interference. But
yeah, AJ Green actually scored, didn't he?
Yeah.
He scored and he had a little extension, but it was probably a foul, but it wasn't like the most egregious offensive pass interference I've ever seen. But
right.
But I'm going Browns. Let's do Browns.
Well, maybe we'll actually get a Greedy Williams sighting on the field. It's not Sunday, so I've seen some people call him like his availability is like Chick-fil-A, just not available on Sunday. So hopefully
That's a good one.
so hopefully we get him out there, and like Dave said, and Njoku's out for a couple weeks, but the Browns just have too many weapons on offense. They got to use them, and like you said, pound the ball. I know Stefanski loves to use the two and even 3 tight end sets, and even I believe his name's Janovich, the fullback. They picked him up from Denver, and this was a random fact I heard over the weekend, but they said there were 6 teams last year that primarily used a fullback, and 5 of those 6 teams made playoffs. So like we all want to say like spread football works and stuff, and obviously in college football it does, but in the NFL, it's still, you got to be able to run the ball, and you got to be able to convert on third down.
One of those teams reached the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I mean, the first 2 teams that come to mind with fullback are the Ravens and the Niners.
Yeah.
And, they're running teams, but it's like a misconception of it's running is not just lining up, I formation, handing the ball off. They creatively run. And, hey, we got Chubb and Hunt. I'd like to see them out on the field at the same time. Both in the backfield at times. I think they did that a little bit last year. I don't know if they did much of it last week, but I mean, you want your best players out on the field to make plays. And I think, there's a lot we can do with this offense. You just got to show some creativity and commit to running the football and chewing up some clock.
Well, and with our defense struggling too, if you can run the ball and keep your defense off the field, limit that offense, that would obviously help a ton too.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll check in with our results next week and see how that goes. All right, Dave, we're going to go to a fun topic, and Edgar and Greg, feel free to jump in, but we're going to call this segment okay, or no way. So a little backstory on this. Dave and I used to walk around Ohio State, and basically to get some approval. What's the song, Dave? Like
it was and I think it was I'm pretty sure it was Missy Elliott, Gossip.
Yeah, that's it, Gossip Folks, and it was ludicrous.
And it's a subtle part of the song, and I have no idea why. I mean, no one even hears this, but somehow we pulled it out, and I don't even know. I wish I didn't go back to the day we kind of coined that, but yeah.
I know. Well, we would basically, one of us for approval of the other one, no matter what it might be, one of us would say and if the other one said okay, it was pretty much approval. So, Dave, I'm gonna throw some questions at you, and you're just gonna give me a quick okay, or no way. And Greg and Edgar, feel free to chime in though too. All right. So first question, Dave. Now that the Big Ten is officially back, will Ohio State be in the college football playoff?
I'm gonna go okay, and that's a lot of it's based off your interesting news on your phone. You just got texted, like the fact that we get an extra game in there.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of changed the story a little bit, so I'm gonna go okay.
Okay.
There's no room for losses though, right? I mean, this is really, I would imagine, normal season, it's you might be able to lose a game. I think it's got to be perfect, but yeah, I'm with you. I think we're going to be the most prepared team. I think we've already are the most prepared and driven team. So
Ryan Day is going to pound some of those teams this year. No mercy.
Yeah.
Next question. Justin Fields wins the Heisman Trophy.
I want to go no way.
No way?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got Trevor down there. It makes you nervous. Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, it's Justin versus the field. That's a fair bet. So.
Okay. I want to say okay. My heart says okay.
I'm just going to chime in and say Notre Dame's going to knock off Clemson, so Justin Fields will win the Heisman.
I love it.
All right.
We're gonna Edgar, how's that go? Like shake down the echoes, or what? How's that?
Kick down the thunder.
Shake down the thunder. All right, love it. Touchdown, Jesus is on our side.
Yep.
All right, next one. The college football playoff should expand to 8 teams.
Okay, yeah. I think we need to go 8. Definite.
What do you guys think?
Agreed.
I agree.
Yeah, I've always I like that. I like the idea of like, the Power Five conference winners plus kind of 3 wild cards and maybe even one specifically for a non-Power Five. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
I'm going to say they should keep it at 4. Legit. Well, I'm going to say they should keep it at 4 just because I think that gives you the best matchups. But I think they're going to go to 8 eventually because, well, it's all, it's going to all about the money eventually. So next one.
Like the theme too, right? All sports seem to be expanding playoffs.
And with losing money, a lot of sports this year, no fans in the stands, they're going to need to keep bringing in that money.
Yeah.
Next one. Will the Indians make the playoffs? Uh-huh.
I'm going to say no way.
So it's like they still have like a 3-ish game lead or something they're still in by like, was it about 3 games or so?
They're what, 6th place right now?
No, they're in. I think they're in 8th right now.
Oh, they're in 8th right now.
Yeah,
No, I think Houston's in 8th.
But I guess there's still some room, right? There's still some room between. I want to say they're still in by a couple games.
I believe you're right because the Indians, I think, are 4 games over 500. But what they're doing is, so the division leaders get the 1, 2, and 3 seeds. Division second place teams get 4, 5, and 6, and then the wild cards get 7 and 8. So Houston's actually the second best team in their division.
Oh,
7 or 6 or something. So it's some kind of funny way there. But I'm gonna say they make it just based on. I mean, they have to, but their hitting just is atrocious. So
the one positive I will say, and there's not much positive because that walk-off hit batsman yesterday was pretty much the icing on the cake of just a terrible week. You think about a couple years ago when they won the 21 in a row, and I was worried at that time too because it's like, well, they got their 22. Thank you. They got their streak out of the way. They needed that in October. So if I could say anything positive, I'll say at least they're getting their bad stretch hopefully out of the way, and maybe can get hot if we can make it in. But they better get busy and win some games here. They don't have to win that many more. I mean, they probably only they have 26 wins. They probably only need to win 5 or 6 more games.
Right.
Play 500 ball the rest of the way with this expanded playoffs. You get to play a Tampa or an Oakland, who good team, but not.
I don't think there's any invincible team.
No.
Dodgers this year, and
yep.
I mean, we don't have to deal with them unless we get to the World Series. So
we'll say the hitting. I mean, hitting needs to get there, but I mean, I think the bullpen needs to start pitching a little bit better down the stretch, also.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think Karinchak's kind of hitting that. I don't know if it's just that rookie slump or just. I don't know. Usually you see like later in the season of a full season, or maybe it's that phase where people are starting to figure him out a little bit. Now he's got to kind of counter. He's got the stuff. Yeah. Fine.
Right.
But he is struggling. A lot of them are struggling.
Yep.
It just takes a baseball sport. We all played it. It's just like you get into these ruts and it just feels like you cannot get out of them. And all of a sudden just something happens, and I thought maybe it was going to be last night when Lindor hit that home run. It just takes one thing to get back. You just got to win one game. You got to snap it, and it seems like that can totally change the direction. But they better do it like tonight, or I don't know what they're doing right now. But they got.
Well, they're tied up with the Cubs now, so maybe they can turn the streak around here and win against the Cubs tonight. Maybe that's what they need. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Okay. All right. We're probably down to about 5 more minutes. So let's just go 2 or 3 more questions and we'll shoot through these. Should the Browns, now we'll see what he does tomorrow night. We're recording this on a Wednesday night. Should the Browns trade OBJ? Sorry. Uh-huh.
Say okay.
You say okay?
Okay. I think I say okay. Unfortunately, I think he's just something's not gelling. It's just not working. I mean, he has over 1,000 yards. I mean, he didn't have a terrible season, but he just does not look the same. And yeah, I think depending on what they get for him, I saw someone that proposed like a third or the fifth round and something like that. And like, I don't know. I mean, we'd have to get something good. Like, I don't want to let him go for something cheap, but like, I still think he's a great player. And I don't think it's all his fault for not having the stats like he did. Kind of like what I said earlier with Baker, but we need some weapons back though. So I don't know. I'm gonna say okay though.
Okay. You guys?
I agree, and I hope he goes for 200 tomorrow night and proves it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on a thin leash.
That's exactly how I feel. I think you got to give him a little bit more time, but if somebody blows you away with an offer that you can't refuse, I say you take it.
Yes.
All right, let's go two more. And the NBA just announced the first, second, and third teams. So I'm gonna just read off the first team All NBA, and you guys, tell me what you think if they got it right or not. So first team All NBA was LeBron, Giannis, Harden, Anthony Davis, and Luka. Dave,
I'm gonna go okay. I mean, hard to
It's hard to argue with that.
That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous lineup. Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to think who might have been missed on there that would be worthy, but like.
Second team was Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, Kawhi, Pascal Siakam, Jokic.
Oh wow.
And then you got Simmons, Westbrook, Butler, Tatum, and Gobert for the third team. So,
I would have taken Westbrook off of that. I you know what I mean? I don't.
Right.
He had a good year at all. I mean, it by his standards, but I don't think he had a great year at all. But yeah, it's hard to argue with those guys. Although it's weird because the bubble, it's almost like there really has been two separate seasons. So
Yeah.
Jamal Murray needs some kind of honor for what he's done in the bubble because he's been first team All NBA in the bubble, and your boy Bam Dave has been spectacular.
Jimmy Buckets, no doubt.
Jimmy Buckets, yeah.
We watched that block several times today just to recap that moment. That was unreal.
All right, and for anyone actually watching and not listening to this on a podcast, you'll see Dave with his Miami Heat gear. He has been a long time. He didn't become a fan when LeBron went there. He's been a fan as long as I've known him. So he's not a homer. He's stuck with them. So Dave, final question. So Bam, how do you say his last name? Is it
Adebayo?
Adebayo. Okay, I get some syllables mixed up there. So Adebayo. Magic Johnson tweeted that was the best defensive play ever in the NBA playoffs. I am just gonna say, you say it.
I gotta recap all the NBA finals. I mean, I think LeBron's block.
That does it for me.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure you have to go any further than that.
I'm saying no.
I mean,
I'm gonna actually put his block third. I was thinking back way back for Tayshaun Prince blocking Reggie Miller.
That was great too.
Oh, I'm gonna put that second and Bam's third.
Well, there was also what LeBron had a block in the finals against. There's trying to Thiago Splitter. Was that who it was?
Yeah, Splitter.
I mean, that was similar to Bam's. They're all great.
I almost remember every Heat block. I remember when Bosch blocked them. I forget who it was in the corner. I remember LeBron blocking that. I remember Zoe making the blocks when the Heat were back in 2006.
How about Ronnie Cycli? He ever throw any good blocks?
I mean, the one thing I'll say about Bam that you have to think about, and it wasn't until like after I didn't. You see it real time and it goes so fast. But when you saw, I saw it on Instagram or something afterwards. I mean, he's coming down with it. He's got his offhand, kind of bent back, and it definitely is in the top.
It's almost like if you arm wrestled somebody and you started with your arm almost flat on the table, and a person had that much leverage on you, and he was able to not break his wrist, not allow the ball to get through. I mean, from just that standpoint, it was as impressive as I've ever seen. But there's only one there's only one that they call the block. And
I have to go no way, but I mean it was unreal block. So
Okay.
I'm still high on it. I'm ready for tomorrow night. I mean, it's gonna be hard. I got that and the Browns, so but
That's a good place to be in, though. No doubt. Especially when living with no sports or whatever for 5 months, how miserable that was. But
it is weird to say that like we had like no sports and now like everything's on. You know, we got college football coming in. They got
shit, you got
baseball
NHL, you got MLS, you got, I mean, literally.
yeah, shameless golf plug here, but you got the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
That'll be really entertaining, like ridiculously hard course. They're saying the winner is possibly going to be over par.
All right, so Greg, was actually a question
Yeah.
I scratched because of time, but let's just do that now since we talked about it. So the U.S. Open, is that in New York, I believe?
Yeah, I believe it's like upstate New York. Yeah. Winged Foot is the name of the course.
Yeah,
That's right. So, so let's do one final question. The U.S. Open, the winner finishes over par. Uh-huh.
So the last
I
time,
go no way.
last time they played there, the winner was 5 over and didn't shoot one round. It wasn't even par in a round. It was over par in every round.
Wow. I want to see DJ just go on a tear again, like he has. But
I feel like playing an even par round this week is going to be like going on a tear. It's going to be crazy. But one thing to look for that'll be interesting is Bryson DeChambeau said he's using an extra long driver this week, and he's going for it. He says, you know what, if I miss the fairway, because I guess the fairways, not only is the rough insane, but the fairways are very tight, and people, even accurate drives will miss the fairway. So he says, I'm just going to hit it as hard as I possibly can, and if I miss the fairway, I'm going to be 50 yards further than the next guy.
Yeah.
They put a White Claw in the rough, and the rough is as tall as a White Claw.
What is that? It's about 6 to 8 inches, or 6 inches, something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, they better.
Are we going to see another Phil meltdown?
I hope not, but I also don't think he'll even be in a position to do that.
Yeah, probably not.
Love Phil,
I
but
had on here. I got Justin Thomas is 14-1. He's my pick to win.
okay.
And I know this is gonna show after they start tomorrow, but we'll see how that plays out. But it'll be fun. I'll definitely have that. Keep one eye on that this week.
Okay. All right.
you got that, and then you got the Masters coming later. So it's
Yeah.
We're gonna do like a whole show in November, just pretty much dedicated to the Masters. So we'll get there, and which is pretty awesome. It's in November this year. So I just want to say Easy E, Special K, Diesel, thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully we can make this a regular thing, and I appreciate all your guys' wisdom and knowledge, and we'll talk soon. So thank you guys, appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
thank you.
All right, take care, guys. Bye.
All right, thanks for those guys for coming on. Great stuff, always good content, and we'll do that again going forward. Before we leave today, we got a couple minutes. I'm going to bring on Joe Danier. Joe is the founder and often will join me on the show. He's going to give you a little bit of knowledge about some of the other shows we do down here. So welcome on, Joe. And,
hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So we obviously we know this show, but tell us a little bit about the other 4 shows that are in production right now.
Okay, so we have Justine Thomas follows your show, and so she each one of the programs sort of have its own theme and its own niche. And so what she and I have been doing, and part of her programming, is sort of like going out to the public and bringing on different small businesses and people who are participate. Some of the women's issues, talking about what's important to women around our community. She brings that angle. And then following that, we have Fast Freddy, who is a icon of the Valley, variety show where he's all over the place, where sometimes we'll be talking with musicians, doing Man on the Streets, really great segments that are really entertaining. Awesome. he's a anyway, he's a great talent in our area. And then we have the Morris Ray show, the Mo Ray. He takes this political perspective and talks about what's happening from that angle.
Okay.
And then we have the Joe and Doug show, which is self-improvement, that kind of a program.
So we kind of have the whole gamut covered,
do
really,
too,
you know?
yeah.
So you got the music covered, you got self-improvement, all this stuff. So, you know, we just want to thank everybody out there for watching, for listening. We hope to continue to build an audience and keep growing and getting better each time. So with that said, I'm going to go off a quote with Mark Twain. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. And I'd like to say have a great weekend. Tonight we got the Browns. Bring it home. We need this one big time. Everybody enjoy your weekend, and we will see you next week. Take care.